Every February, Americans pause their collective consumption of beer, buffalo wings, and nacho cheese to experience and witness a true miracle.
The road to the Super Bowl is long and pointless. I mean, when you think about it.
Football's so great.
GD Sasquatch presents Unheard History.
Now, I'm not talking about the actual football game. That's just a 3-hour delivery vehicle for truck commercials, Clydesdales, lectures on toxic masculinity, and crypto scams. That pretty well sums it up, I think. Yeah. We're talking about the Super Bowl halftime show. 12 minutes of sheer, unadulterated musical chaos where the world's biggest stars try not to trip over a stray yard line while they lip sync for their life to appear relevant. Oh, man, river. But before all this mess was a $10 million glitter bomb. It was kind of a cry for help. For the first 2 decades of the Super Bowl, the halftime show was reminiscent of a high school football pep rally held at gunpoint, essentially. The inaugural 1967 halftime show featured the University of Arizona's marching band. That was pretty much it. Their big finale, they released 10,000 pigeons into the sky while 2 guys on jetpacks floated around. Because nothing says halftime show entertainment like bird shit and experimental aviation. And then for years, the NFL operated under the delusion that what the people really craved after 2 quarters of absolute violence was a group called Up With People. That's right, a group of singers so aggressively wholesome that they made Ned Flanders look like Rob Zombie.
Hey, hostility, diddly, biddly, diddly, hell, diddly, ding, dong, crap! Can't you morons do anything right?
And then we hit 1989, where we brought in a man named Elvis Presto. That sounds damn impressive, doesn't it? And he didn't sing a lick, but he did do card tricks for 70,000 people.
Was a king of hearts the card you chose? Only Mr. Presto knows.
This might have been the only time in history where an entire stadium of people thought, what the hell is this?
What the hell is even that?
Well, by 1992, the public had had enough. They didn't want any more Up With People or Elvis Prestos. That was reflected by the ratings during halftime. It appeared that most everybody was changing the channel to watch the sitcom in living color.
I don't think so. Homie, don't play that.
They realized that if they couldn't stem the bleeding of the ratings dip during halftime, that the NFL's halftime show was going to be the world's most expensive bathroom break. Enter Michael Jackson in the year 1993. His strategy? I'm going to stand absolutely still for 90 seconds while the entire stadium loses its ever-loving shit. Michael Jackson's appearance at the 1993 halftime show was an absolute masterclass in getting paid more than everybody else just to stand there and do absolutely nothing. He proved that if you bring a global icon to the stage, people will actually stay sitting on the couch watching the same channel.
'Cause it's mind-boggling to you, yeah!
This was a revolutionary concept for the NFL, who previously thought, what we need is more tubas. More tubas is the answer.
Stop it! Cut it out!
The late 1990s wound up being an absolute pot of musical gumbo. You want to see Aerosmith, NSYNC, and Britney Spears try to lip sing the same song at the same time while a confused Nelly wanders by? Neither do I. Too bad, because it's 2001 and we're all in hell together. Then 2004 happened. Janet Jackson Justin Timberlake and a wardrobe malfunction that nearly broke the FCC and the internet while it was still sort of in its infancy. But you know, the NFL in all its infinite wisdom was like, hey, you know what? This too shall pass. And they did absolutely nothing about it and kept on bringing in superstars with more wardrobe malfunctions. Jesus Christ, say that 3 times fast.
You sure about that?
I'm lying about all of that. They didn't double down on shit. In fact, they went the opposite way. They went the Amish grandmother who just caught the kids smoking out behind the barn route. Like, we are banning everything that isn't completely safe.
For shame.
Enter in the pre-dad rock era, or the geriatric era, if you will. I am so sorry for my core group of viewers right here. I joke about this, but this was actually a pretty solid lineup of people. It just wasn't controversial. Paul McCartney, the Rolling Stones, The Who, Tom Petty and the Heartbreakers, all phenomenal acts.
Lord, I played the silver ball from Soho down to Brighton. I must have played them all.
And it was the NFL's way to make sure that nobody, and I mean nobody, so much as showed a belly button or an ankle on live TV. You hear me? But the redeeming quality in all of this, and what some would consider one of the best halftime shows of all time, was in 2007. And that is when Prince, or the artist formerly known as Prince, before Prince, anyway, it was Prince, wound up taking the stage during an absolute monsoon in Miami. And when a producer walked up to him and was like, hey, Mr. Prince, sir, artist formerly named Prince, hey, Prince, you want us to delay this and put it on like a rain delay? And he looked at him and was like, hey, Mr. Producer, I need you to make it rain harder. Make it rain more. And what you wound up with was a torrential downpour, Prince playing guitar on an absolutely, what I'm assuming was a completely wet, slippery, dangerous stage, ripping a solo to Purple Rain under purple light.
I never meant to cause you any pain.
Chef's kiss, Prince. That's why you're the GOAT. The Prince halftime show was one of the only time the NFL's over-the-top production was actually matched by a person who was a literal wizard. I mean, Prince didn't just play this halftime show. He made the weather his bitch. And it was cool. Eventually, the NFL would come to realize that its target demographic was actually under the age of 70. And then we entered in the age of the spectacle, where the music is just the background noise for all the memes we're going to create about it later. We saw Katy Perry ride in on a gigantic mechanical gold lion that looked like it was something that was stolen from a bankrupt Vegas casino. We saw Lady Gaga jump off the roof of a stadium, except for she really didn't jump from the stadium. It was all green screen, but you know, you get the gist of it. In 2022, the NFL finally discovered that hip-hop actually existed for 40 years, which is such an ironic thing to research. I'm just, moving on. It was basically a high-budget, I miss the 90s Spotify playlist. It only took them 4 decades to realize that Snoop Dogg might be a bigger draw than the Ohio State Drum Corps. But let's be honest, sometimes the main event isn't really the halftime show. In 1991, Whitney Houston sang her rendition of the national anthem, which was, by some, regarded as the best version of the national anthem ever sang. And it was good. Until Chris Stapleton showed up in 2023. I personally regard this as the single best highlight of music in all of NFL history.
For the land of the free.
You had one gloriously bearded dude who looked like he walked straight out of a bourbon factory. A Telecaster, an amp, and a voice that sounded like a chainsaw. And his rendition of the national anthem was so damn good, it reduced grown men to tears. Don't believe me? Look at this. No lasers, no floating platforms, no backup dancers that look like overdressed sentient marshmallows. That's a moment in history that would achieve what Michael Jackson and Prince's performances never could, reducing an entire stadium to tears. And I'm calling it now, will forever hold the best music spot in all of Super Bowl history. I am so sorry for you Bad Bunny fans out there. Give me a break. Today, the halftime show is a logistical nightmare that costs millions of dollars for a set that the artist doesn't even get paid for. That's right, they're paid in exposure.
You show up, some big-time producer comes in, sees your talent, bing, bang, boom, you're famous.
Which is the billionaire's way of saying, hey, thanks for the free labor. Get your ass off the grass. A crew of hundreds drag a stage onto the field in 6 minutes. A pop star survives a pyrotechnic explosion, and then they vacuum all the glitter away so that the game can resume.
Back to work, fool!
It's expensive, it's loud, it's mostly an excuse to sell more life insurance. And in other words, it's the most American thing ever, including a flyover that costs millions of dollars, which nobody ever seems to complain about our tax dollars being spent in that way. But I digress. Anyway, what'd you guys think of all this? What team are you rooting for? Put it in the comments. I don't even watch the sports ball. I don't know who to cheer for or why we count the sports points. But sometimes the music's okay. Sometimes the commercials are okay. Mostly I'm just here for the food because I'm a fat ass. But anyway, leave a comment below if you guys would. Take the time to like this video, subscribe to my channel, and I'll see you next time.